you're ready to start, I'll
Yes,
share
I
my
think we
screen.
can go ahead and go.
Awesome.
Yes, everybody, the date is incorrect on my image. Geez. So it is the 24th. This is the correct meeting. I just forgot to change the date on the image. So, but anyways, so we're gonna get into some geographic farming, part one. I don't know how many parts I'll do, maybe 2 or 3 to kind of get through the content, but it would be too much for one day. So I'm just going to focus on kind of one area here. And then before we start, Andrew, he's going to go over a little presentation here with some mortgage updates.
Yeah, this is pretty basic stuff for you guys. Just wanted to kind of cover it. We have a lot of new agents, a lot of newer agents, and I just wanted to go over a couple of these loans and things that we do and offer. Just in case they come up and you don't realize that you did know, or even you didn't. But to start off, the good news for rates is they have not hit 8% yet. So that's awesome. There's a chance that we do see 8% before the end of the year. I still believe that this is a short-term situation. The rates are always going to ebb and flow. So one of the things that I keep seeing coming up for is how to deal with the conversation with the client of rates are high and I should wait. And if the only thing a person, a buyer, a borrower cares about is what interest rate is on their loans, then absolutely they should wait. But if they care about a financial situation that betters their family, if they care about purchasing something today that will ultimately cost 3, 4, 5, 10% more in 24 months, with the potential to buy that and get a lower rate in the future, purchase prices aren't going to go down. We're going to see some negotiation. We might see some values drop a little bit because of the negotiations that are happening, but we're not going to see. I mean, we're up in some areas 20%, and those values might drop 5, 6, 7%, which still puts you 10% above, what it was. So again, in that conversation, I really feel like now is still the right time to buy, especially in California, because California is only getting more expensive. And any homeowner that has owned their property for, a long period of time, 5, 10, 15 years, most of them have at some point done a refi in a situation that either A, allowed them to get cash out to do something that they wanted to do, or to simply lower the rate because rates got better. And that's going to continue to be a benefit to a homeowner once they buy, even if they start out at a 7%. So that's my kind of answer to that conversation. I want to go into just some basic loan stuff. So you guys have all heard of a conventional loan. It's probably the most common, the most versatile loan that's out there. Pretty much anyone can qualify for this one. When I say that, I mean, like, I'm not talking about, protected classes or anything. I'm talking about a veteran, someone buying land in the country, a person that, just moved here from another country, anything like that, that might have a unique loan also tied to it. Most everyone can qualify and apply for, a conventional loan. Just about any type of property can be purchased with a conventional loan. Let's say using like a condo complex that might not accept FHA or VA. With the right down payment, a conventional loan can be used. So this is a very versatile thing. It's probably where we get also, what we'll consider prime market rates, that 7% rate I'm talking about, and then everything else kind of goes off of that. So pretty typical loan. Government loans, these are all backed by the government. A VA loan was designed to help military families. USDA is more for specific properties in rural areas. FHA loan is probably second as most common as a conventional, probably the competing product to conventional, but government backed. Most of the time, I think we call this like a first time home buyer loan because it does have a very low down payment of just 3.5%. So VA loans, quick update. So you must be active or active duty military, any branch, or honorably separated, meaning that you left on good terms, allowing you to qualify to get a certificate of eligibility, to get what the biggest benefit is, to be able to buy that home at 100% financing. A couple of things with a VA loan, and why this really does make it a good opportunity is they don't have a little bit easier qualifying than, say, a conventional or FHA. There's no PMI on this loan, so the VA is actually warranting or insuring the loan to 25%, and that's why there is no PMI, because it's essentially a 75-25 loan, breaking that 80-20 guideline of having PMI. And then specifically, rates tend to be a little bit lower. You'll probably remember sometimes I do show that chart. VA loans in the past 2 months have been 0.5 point lower than prime or more. USDA loans. So this is also a loan that allows a borrower to buy at 100%. It's specifically for more like rural properties, agricultural land areas, things like that, a little bit further out of town. This does have some qualification issues. So it is specifically for certain areas of the state that will even allow this to be used, as well as income for the borrower is rather strict. It's not just being qualified. They actually look at in certain ranges of things. But if you do qualify and you're looking for a home in this area, you can purchase at 100% financing, which is really nice. FHA loan, we just touched on this a little bit. So often it's considered the first time home buyer loan because of the low 3.5% down payment. Now, even with FHA, you do have to be, what they consider first time home buyer, meaning you haven't had a property on your tax return for the last 3 years. You haven't showed that or anything, taken any type of deduction. One of the things about FHA loans is they do have an upfront funding fee, and they do have PMI attached to them. Now, PMI for a FHA loan that is unique is it is the life of the loan. It doesn't drop off at 78% like a conventional loan does. So this tends to be, in my opinion, a little bit more expensive of a loan, especially compared to a conventional if your borrower qualifies for both. But here's where the FHA loan can be a huge benefit, is they can qualify a buyer with a lower FICO score, sometimes down as low as 580. And their DTI can often go up on the back end up to about 55%. So those two criteria make this the right loan for specific people, as well as getting a 3.5% down payment being a huge one. Now, there are conventional loans at 5% down, and every now and then we are seeing some lenders do have a 3% competing product to this. The difference of a 5% and a 3% conventional loan in the rate could be, almost a half to 3/4 of a whole point. It's expensive to go 3% down on a conventional loan. All right, so those are all our kind of commonly talked about loans. Most people know those loans somehow. Non-QM loans. This is where we're seeing a lot of stuff right now. Non-QM means that the loan doesn't meet the requirements of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is CFPB is kind of who creates a lot of the rules and guidelines for us. QM means qualified mortgage. So basically, it doesn't meet those requirements. One interesting fact about a non-QM loan is we don't disclose a non-QM loan the same way we do with a VA, FHA conventional loan. It's much simpler, and it's definitely a little bit higher risk for the borrower. So this is oftentimes, we see a lot more business owners using loans like this, unique things. So here's a non-QM type loan, an ITIN loan. This has been designed for a person who does not have a social security number. They came from another country. They might be in the middle of getting citizenship. They might not even have citizenship goals, but they have an ITIN number allowing them to live and work here for extended periods of time. There are specific loans designed for this type of person. We need just slightly different documentation, and they tend to have requirements of higher down payments, 10 and 20%, more traditional. This person is a little bit higher risk because they are from another country, means they potentially have a life that they could go back to very easily in another country. Everything based on down payment and rates within loans is based on risk that the person will be able to repay that loan. So this person does, present a slightly higher risk of not repaying that loan. DSCR loan. This is, again, another non-QM product. This is actually a really cool product because it allows somebody that wants to get into maybe becoming a landlord, building a portfolio, and they don't have a lot of income or extra income to qualify for the purchase that they want. So a DSCR loan, the way that a person qualifies is they qualify based on the area rent for that size property. So if your borrower is interested in buying their first rental property and they want to buy a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom condo in let's say a popular area near maybe a college or something, they're going to take that purchase and they're going to work with the lender and figure out how much the average rent would be that they would be able to collect for a property like that. Let's say it's $3,000. They're going to allow that to act as the qualifying income to make this purchase. There is generally a 10 to 20% down payment depending on the program. Usually it can go even higher. There are some situations where the DSCR loan will go negative, meaning that they'll qualify it based on even not meeting that amount of monthly income requirement. Most of the time, it's based on your current situation of what else you have going on with your own portfolio. So they look at you're less risk to them, and that's why they're allowing this type of loan. So a bank statement loan. This actually has come up a lot lately because we're getting a lot of people that are self-employed, they're sales, they're on commission, they potentially write off a lot of stuff. We look at taxes, but we're not the IRS. So if you have a client that's worried about what they're doing with their taxes, how they're reporting their income, don't let that scare them away from speaking to us or a lender, because we don't report to the IRS. I don't have time to do that, So if someone, makes $100,000, but somehow they can legally, based on tax laws, report 35 or 40 grand as income, good for them. What that might work for 2, 3, 4, 5 years until the day that they want to either, let's say, sell their business or buy a house, because now they have a unique way of showing income, but they might earn enough to buy a $600,000 or $700,000 house, but they're not reporting it on their taxes. Now I have a problem. This bank statement loan might help in that situation. It might allow us to look at someone's income through what's being deposited into their bank account on a regular basis, allowing them to potentially qualify for that higher amount, even though they reported a lower income on their taxes. So there's some matrices and things that happen within this program. There's a difference if you do a 12 or a 24 month, it does affect the rate a little bit. And this generally needs a 20% down payment because, again, it's a higher risk. It's not traditional income qualification. A HECM loan. So this is mostly known as a reverse mortgage. This is a cool product. It can be used actually to purchase a home. On a homeowner currently at the age of 62 or older, they could do a refi and remove their mortgage payment completely. At that same time, if they did a refi, or they could actually get cash out, 200, 300, 400 grand, depending on the value of their home and how much the math works out. It's usually about a 60-40 split. They would get 60% of the value of their home, and they would pay off their old loan. So they're responsible for that. Cash out is on top of that. The home in this situation does stay 100% owned by the homeowner, the person that's living in the house. This is also for primary homes only. But we can do these. These are super cool. I'm a huge fan of this product. My wife and I probably are never going to move out of our house. So as soon as she turns 62, because she's older than me, this becomes a great option. And we're going to we could potentially remove a $3,000 payment while getting, 200 or 300 grand in cash to use as we want, maybe to buy another unit, maybe to go on some trips, who knows what. But regardless of how that loan works out, the one unique thing, these are 20-year loans. If at 20 years you are still alive and you're not moving, the loan just sort of sits on hold. You still don't have a mortgage payment, which is nice. Now, and there is an older way where they used to give you money monthly, which you can set that up, but generally they want to do a single cash out to you now. Just works out better for them, I think, for servicing. But you could live, these are, like I said, these are 20-year loans, but you could live in your house for 30 years as long as you don't move, don't sell it, and don't die. And that extra 10 years would still be mortgage free, which again makes it an incredible opportunity. DPA loans. Okay, so this has been a huge topic. It's not really a non-QM loan because they're all based off of, at least most of the current ones that we're using are based off of FHA guidelines. What is unique about this is it does allow you to buy at 100% financing, and potentially the buyer could also close paying zero closing costs. The reason that works out that way is because you are getting a traditional first at 96.5. You're getting either a repayable or potentially forgivable second loan covering the down payment, making your financing at 100%. Closing costs can be paid by a seller credit, a lender credit, a realtor credit, a gift funds. So any of those things could pay off potentially all of your closing costs. So a DPA loan becomes a really cool product. It's not cheap by any means. All these little benefits do cost, and they show up in the rate, which tends to be about 2 points higher than, say, what's par right now. We just closed on 2 of these in the last 10 days. One of the rates was at 6.75, which at the time was higher than when we started that loan, was much higher. I think rates were still mid to high 5s, but that borrower also was able to receive over $6,000 of lender credit, which in general terms, we're not seeing lender credits much at all right now. The other one that we closed just a few days earlier had a rate below 6%, no credit of any kind, but a significantly lower interest rate as well. And that first one, if I'm correct, it was set up as a forgivable second or forgivable down payment. So a little different than the one that the two were slightly different. Two different borrowers met two different reasons, but the borrower that, got this credit, they really needed it. It really helped out for them. So it was super cool to have the options. And we have access to several different DPA programs, and each of the ones that we have kind of target specific benefit to a certain type of problem. All of these currently they follow FHA guidelines. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. The income requirements of today to get one of these loans is definitely a little different than it used to be. The most common known DPA program is probably the CalHFA, which is honestly a dinosaur of a loan product. It's a product that took a long time to close. Still today, it's taking people 45 to 60 days, and it's a nightmare. The loans that we're working with right now are from companies that have, looked at that product and said, we can do it better. So a DPA loan could be 100% financing, and it could have zero closing costs. So, and then to finish this off, there are special circumstance loans that just exist for unique reasons. We can do manufactured single and double wide homes. They do need to be on a permanent foundation, but we have loans that will be able to qualify those. For the single wide, there is a very specific minimum size requirement that some single wide homes just don't meet. But if they are of the right size, we can do single wide. Non-warrantable condos. So these are, sometimes there's a litigation. Sometimes actually where my mom lived, only about a mile from my house, someone owned 56% of that. That makes it non-warrantable because they consider it potentially becoming like an apartment building where there's just rental everywhere. Renovation loan, so a 203K loan, a VA also does this, but if you wanted to buy a house that needed some work, you can get a renovation loan that works with that. And then we have some access to fix and flip loans, to land-only loans and bridge loans, which were popular about 6 months ago, to the point, maybe a year ago, to the point where a few companies came out with complete marketing plans and business models based on bridge loans of you need to be able to buy as a cash buyer and sell your house later. And the way that they were accomplishing that, that whole system was basically with a bridge loan. So we have access to all these different products. This is just a quick, recap for you guys, new people, anything like that. If you have specific questions or more details about any of these or particular loans that might be right for one of your potential buyers, please just shoot me a message and I'll be happy to help you with that. But that's it for today. Back to you, Travis.
So before you take off, Linda did have a question if you want to get her in chat about the DSCR.
All right.
So, and I'm going to share.
So I do see that, so purchasing multi-unit, traditional is, 1 to 4 for most every loan. We do have a lender that will do 5+. And then, depending on the DSCR, if that's the specific loan you want, the loan might be limited to the type of property that you're buying in that situation, if it's depending on what you're trying to do. But you could do a 4-unit for sure with a DSCR. The DSCR is designed to be used, for rental product. It's actually not designed for, to be a owner-occupied purchase. So just keep that in mind as well.
And for multi-unit, we can go up to 30 units. So,
okay.
just if anybody has anybody buying apartments. So thank you for that, Andrew.
You're
I'm gonna
welcome.
roll into geofarming. Yes, I know the date is incorrect on here. I forgot to change it on the image before I saved it and put it on here. But I thought that this was good to start in on. It's something that's kind of overlooked. There's a lot of different aspects to it. And something I want to share super quick is just a graph. So I subscribe to this, I don't know, called a newsletter or whatever that you get every day. It's mortgagenewsdaily.com. You guys can subscribe to. Yes, it's really mortgage driven, but they have some really good information about market stats and what's coming up and stuff like that. One of them that came up on Friday was inventory levels and existing sales. So, you know, they went all the way back to 1996, showing the existing sales, how we had a boom, you know, if you were around in, you know, 2 to 06, and then we had the crash, some things happened, and then, you know, we had 2022, another boom, 2020, and then now we're into where we are now, so late 2022. So it's showing, you know, these inventory levels. And if you remember during the crash, I mean, we just had so much inventory, so much foreclosures, short sales, distressed property. It was nuts. So that's showing, you know, where that was. Here was the sales volume. I mean, nothing was really moving. Today, we're seeing this sales volume drop again. We're at about 4.8 million. So, and the inventory is still ridiculously low. We've got a lot of lock-in sellers right now. They got a great interest rate. They're not wanting to sell. They're waiting to see what's going to happen with elections or the market or whatever it is. But some of them have put their home selling plans on pause. And so that's kind of affecting things. It's just a little bit of a strange market right now. So, you know, what can we do to generate more sales? You know, we see that the sales have declined, the sales volume. This is a nationwide thing. It's not, you know, if you're thinking it's you're not doing enough, you know, it's not that. This is across the board. This is what's happening in the market. So I thought that, you know, over the course of the next month or two, going over a lot of lead gen strategy. I mean, I do this a lot anyways, but diving a little deeper into some lead gen strategy to set you apart and help you dive into your local market a little bit more. So we'll do some geofarming. So I'm going to go over the CRMLS rules. Whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, you know, there's a lot of mixed emotions of what CRMLS comes out with, what other MLS come out with rules and regs for advertising, things like that. I'm not going to provide an opinion on it. I'm just going to do facts so that you know what the rules are for advertising, and then some of the stuff that we're going to dive into so that you know that the way that geofarming works is totally above board. It's ethical. It's a great way for generating leads, and it's how you can dive into your local market and sell homes, you know, in the areas you want to sell. So the fact is, yes, I just showed you sales are slowing down, and there's some real aggressive agents out there, real aggressive teams diving into this a lot. And they're taking full advantage of the marketing rules. So there's no reason why you shouldn't either. So let's get uncomfortable and talk about the rules and regs, say about advertising another broker's listing, because essentially some of the geofarming is what you're doing there, but not in the way that you think it is. So this came straight off CRMLS. They have a facts page. And number 8 is, do I need permission from the listing broker to advertise a property in an IDX feed? So today we're going to focus on IDX feeds. And if you don't know what IDX is, simply put, the IDX is the home search function on any website out there. So it could be any of the big box portals out there. It could be your own personal website. Our company website has it, obviously. The better IDX you have, the better chance you have of generating really good quality leads. So the key words in this is in the IDX feed. And the answer is no, you don't need permission from the listing broker to advertise properties through an IDX feed. So we're not talking about, you know, sending out mailers saying this is my listing. That is a no. But, you know, promoting stuff through an IDX feed, yes, that can be done because it's on the portal. So all listings that appear in the CRMLS IDX feed have prior permission from the listing broker. So that's just assumed in the rules and regs. If you are a CRMLS member, which most of us are, if you're a member of another MLS like SDMLS, even, you know, Fresno, any of these other ones that we're members of, they probably have this similar setup. They're all, it's pretty uniform. If you think that your local MLS does not, if you're in a small MLS or a private MLS, check with them before doing stuff with IDX, but more than likely it's fine. So placing a listing in the MLS includes a grant of permission to include the listing in the IDX feed. If a listing broker does not want their listing to appear in the IDX feed, they must affirmatively opt out of IDX for all of their listings. So that's something that I can pretty much guarantee hardly any, if any, listing brokers are doing when they put their listing in the MLS. So if you're surprised, you shouldn't be. This is what major search portals are doing every day. They are promoting everybody's listings. They generate millions of leads every year that they sell back to us at a premium by advertising our listings through an IDX feed they subscribe to in the MLS that you pay into every year and provide data for everything that you list or sell a property. They use the sales data from our MLS to generate reports of sales trends the public wants to see in the neighborhoods that you want to be the expert in. So they're using our data that, you know, from our listings and our sales to show reports, and, you know, the consumers want those reports. They want to know about the neighborhood stats. So they make it easy for the public to get information from and connect to local realtors who pay to play. You know, they're paying for the leads with these major search portals about your listing or your listings in the neighborhood you're wanting to sell. So, you know, all the major portals out there, they're using this method to generate leads. There's no reason why you can't either. It's really not that difficult. It's just a matter of having the system in place to be able to do so. So, you know, how can you do what these search portals are doing to get back your local market share and start building a sustainable business in the communities and neighborhoods you want to sell in? You know, we don't want to be driving far and wide to sell homes. I know we all prefer not to. So, you know, geo-farming is going to be a way for you to start bringing your business into the areas you want to specialize in. And this is going to help you build that sustainable business that you're wanting. So what is geo-farming? It's a proven method of marketing your real estate business to a specific neighborhood or local proximity in a way that raises awareness of your brand, captures leads, earns referrals, and generates listings. So before we go into the geo-farming, I'm just going to touch on the MLS advertising rules so everybody has a really good understanding of that. Probably not going to read this whole thing. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase a little bit so we can, you know, kind of get through this boring part. Advertising the listing in printed neighborhood market report. So I'm going to touch on market reports probably next week, but I put it in here just so we can know what this looks like. Subject to the conditions set forth in A through C, which I have down here, as well as throughout these rules, participants and subscribers may include the listings of others in their printed neighborhood market reports. So if you're going to be doing mailings, you want to start drilling down into a neighborhood, yeah, you can give a list of all the sales happening in that neighborhood, and that is above board. It's in the rules. You can do it. You cannot take credit for those sales, but you can show data. And that's exactly what, a lot of these agents are doing that are drilling down in the neighborhoods. They're providing data. They're showing that they're the expert in the neighborhood. So the neighborhood market report is defined as an advertising and or information sheet, typically appearing in the form of a postcard, a flyer, a newsletter, compiled by and or for use by a licensee, which sets forth a list of home activity in a particular neighborhood area. Advertising appearing in newspapers, magazines, or other classified forms is not included in the definition of neighborhood market report and is not authorized by this rule. So can you do a mailer? Can you do drop-bys, postcards, door knockers, things like that, showing neighborhood data? 100%, not a problem. Consent. The listing broker's consent for such advertising is presumed in satisfaction of the rule above, 12.8. So unless the broker affirmatively notifies the MLS that they don't want this. Listing attribution. All on-market listings in the neighborhood market report must identify the name of the listing firm and the name of the listing agent in a manner designed to easily identify each. Such identification shall be reasonably prominent location and readily visible color typeface, not smaller than the median used for displaying the data. And allowable listing content, broker participants, subscribers, and again, this is us, may include only those portions of the MLS compilation consisting of the following. So you can show data for, it could be the property address, status price, compensation, number of bedrooms and baths, garages, square footage, lot size, year built, tract or development name, and if there's a pool. Displaying of other fields as well as confidential information, photographs is prohibited. So that's the rule for that. And then we'll get into real quick use of active listing information on internet, also known as Internet Data Exchange, which is the IDX, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Internet Data Exchange is a means by which each participant subscribing to the program permits the limited electronic display of participants' listings appearing in the IDX, database on each participant's IDX internet websites and on applications for mobile devices. The IDX database is the current aggregate compilation of all marketed or advertised listings information as defined in section 10.1. And that's of the rules and regs for CRMLS. Pending, sold, leased listings of all Internet Data Exchange participants, except those listings where property sellers have opted out. The intent of IDX is to allow participants that represent real estate sellers or buyers or both to permit other such participants to advertise their listings in electronic displays, including but not limited to websites, mobile applications, audio devices, and additional technologies. So authorization, very similar to the other. If it's going in the MLS, participants and subscribers may electronically display aggregated MLS listing information in a status of coming soon, active, active under contract, pending, or sold leased. Throughout their downloading or by framing such information on the MLS or association public access websites, if there's one available. Basically, any search portal you're looking at, that's going to be the IDX feed. You'll notice that they now do display the listing broker's information. So that was something that had a lot of pushback from our industry when CRMLS made those rule changes, because basically now if you have an IDX on your website, you have a search function for homes on your website. If someone clicks on a home, it is going to display the listing agent's information at somewhere on that website. That's a requirement now. So this is called the listing credit. all listing brokers grant permission for any advertising broker, which would be the person with the IDX, to display any listing submitted to the service by the listing broker only if the listing display or advertisement is clear, so that a reasonable real estate consumer understands who the listing broker is, who the advertising broker is, and then how to contact them. And I'm not going to go into that too much, but the listing rule has received a lot of mixed reactions from industry professionals. Whether we agree or not, the fact that the contact information in listing office must be displayed on our personal IDX, it's a moot point, has to happen. And usually if you have an IDX provider, they've already integrated this into their display. So the rule's in place, but it doesn't have to be a deterrent from having an IDX. So you have to think, all the big box, the major, search portals out there, they all are complying with this. And yet, they're still generating millions of leads every year. So it's really not that much of a deterrent. I still think IDX is a really great thing to have. Even with the listing office displayed, they still generate a ton of leads from people clicking on the, contact us now or schedule an appointment or whatever their function is. So, don't let that be a deterrent from having an IDX. I have a couple questions in here. Do we need a signed approval from a listing agent to video their open house? I would try and get stuff in writing for sure, especially for something like that, because that would be advertising another broker's listing. All right, so let's start with the IDX part. Websites aren't dead, IDX isn't dead. It's a great way to generate leads. In fact, they're still highly effective for generating leads when you understand how to drive traffic to them and use the tools they provide properly. That's the major down or fault or whatever when people get a website, when agents get a website, they have the search function, and they're like, nobody, I don't get any leads from this. You always have to drive traffic there until you become so big that you don't have to. People are just searching you. But otherwise, you have to drive traffic to the website. But the IDX is what the consumers want. The major reason for them visiting your website is to view homes. So you really want to have that IDX. So you can ethically and professionally generate buyer leads by technically advertising other brokers' listings with the use of a great IDX. So what's the mindset on this? This is generally a long game mindset for drilling down into communities you want to sell homes in for the long run. Can you generate leads of buyers that want to, buy something today? Totally, you can. But, if you're thinking that I'm going to get a website and I'm going to get an IDX, and if I don't get a lead in 3 months, then I'm going to drop it. Like that's really not the mindset you want to have when adding this into your marketing plan. So leads can be generated consistently, although the vast majority of them will be, will require some nurture time. And that's where the follow-up comes in. This is a volume-based method of generating contacts and shaking out the viable leads with the nurture process. So what do you need to do this? Really, you just need a good IDX page or website or a combination, and a CRM with action plans. And the action plans, the functions, they should have an email drip function. They should have a text autoresponder function. Voicemail drop, it's recommended. A good IDX is going to have some sort of voicemail drop. Social media integrations, maybe it integrates with your messenger or something like that. Some of them have that as well. Really high-end CRMs will have all 4 or at least 3 of these. At minimum, you're going to want the email drip and the text autoresponder for the purpose of follow-up. So I've covered this previously. So according to NAR and various other sources online, the average online real estate lead conversion rate is relatively not great. 0.4 to 1.2%. Basically, this is the funnel. You're taking the traffic and you're kind of funneling it down into basically the high quality lead. So it's a volume-based model. I think it's very, very similar to doing mass mailings, which we don't really see a lot of in the industry anymore. I mean, some do, probably lenders do it more than real estate agents these days, but the concept is very similar. You know, you send out 10,000 pieces of mail and you get you get some listings from it, or you get some contacts from it. Do you get, 50% of it? No. Do you get 10%? No, you probably get about 1 or less percent return on that. With this is much more cost effective by using the IDX with that same method, because you can drive traffic to your IDX for far cheaper than a mailing, and the follow-up process is free. So once you get those contacts into your database, the email drips, the text messaging follow-ups, the picking up the phone and calling, that's all free. Whereas you may need to continue doing mailers every single month at a high cost in order to get the leads coming in consistently. So this is far, far cheaper. Email, while it's not as great as it used to be, it still has a 5 to 20% open rate. 10% is a pretty good target for an open rate. So if you build up your database to have, a couple thousand contacts in there that you've generated through IDX, and 10% of them are opening your emails every day, or not every day, but every time you send it out, you're going to have leads coming in. You're going to have people responding to you and asking questions and asking you to, come and list their home or whatever it is. So, and Leo's throwing a few things in the chat if you want to see what he's talking about. So Leo's our marketer if you don't know. So saved IDX searches. So these are highly underutilized in my opinion, and they are great conversation starters. They're great lead generators. So if you have your IDX and you have a good IDX that allows you to create saved searches, creating multiples of these is where you will start to see the traffic and the leads. It's basically giving you multiple landing pages every time you create a saved search, and I'll show you a sample of these. So you can create saved searches to promote and share. The lead capture functions on your IDX will generate the lead from there. So basically, you're creating this little landing page of a specific search of homes, putting it out into the world, and people looking for those types of homes go, wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. They click on it. They start, looking through the homes, they start making inquiries, because there's always going to be some sort of lead capture function when you have these websites and IDXs. So if you want to see a sample one, this is our personal website. Here's one I just set up over the weekend, San Diego multiplex for sale. So this is all it is I created a search on the back end. It provided me a link. I can share this anywhere. I can run advertising from it. If I'm trying to target investors, they want to look at multiplex, right? So if that's my marketing pitch, well, I've already compiled the list here, and you can do this in many, many different ways, but this is very simple. Here's another one. I did Carlsbad homes for sale under 800,000. There's only 2 pages of them. There's only about 20, 22 or something like that available. But for somebody that's been maybe priced out of the market a little bit, now the prices have kind of simmered just a little bit, they may say, oh, wow, like I didn't even know there was homes that cheap in this area. So, I lost my page. Okay, there we go. So what you want to think about is what's hot in your market, who you're trying to target, what type of clients you're trying to work with. Here's some samples. So I took those IDX saved searches and I just pasted the link into Facebook, into a business page. And then I just put in a little, a little text at the top. And then they click on this, it takes them straight to my IDX page. So if you're wondering, what I don't have things to post, what can I be posting? Things like this create conversation. I saw a post just this weekend from an outside realtor And he's like, can you believe there's, I think he said there's 14 homes under 400,000 in this specific city. And then he posted the link, which went to his IDX page. And he had conversations going in his post. They're like, hey, can you do one for this area? Because they wanted to see what it looked like for their area too. So he's like, no problem. So he started generating conversation strictly from this quick little Facebook post that had an IDX link in it. So that's some of the stuff you can do. Now, other ways to get this out. I just saw some chat coming up, so I was checking that. Looks like Leo's in there. So what you want to do is drive traffic. So how do you drive the traffic over there? Social media is a great way to do it. All you do is put it in just like I showed you. That's one way to do it. I mean, there's multiple ways, but that's one way. You're just letting the lead capture functions do the work on the back end, because people will poke around. If you have, depending on your CRM system or your IDX system, that'll start tracking people, what they're looking at. That gives you opportunities to reach out to them, see if you can help them, things like that. Facebook ads, great way. It's cheap. It can have the click through to the IDX page. It can lead them to a lead form first and then lead them to the IDX page. Google pay-per-clicks that are keyworded for people proactively searching out this list of homes. Yeah, I did one up here for foreclosures. This is a hot topic right now, or it's becoming more of a hot topic. It's a saved search that I can do in the back end of my IDX. I created a saved search for it. It only has foreclosures in Riverside County. People click on it and they get to see them. I did another one. I got a little creative. I can display homes that have had 15% or more in price reduction. Well, to a lot of home buyers out there, that is, that's a sign that these are highly motivated sellers. And they only want to look at reduced homes. So I compiled a list for Temecula. I mean, you can get so creative with these safe searches and put that information out there, and then you can run your advertising off of it. The Google pay-per-click is really cool because it's based off of keywording. So if someone is searching out foreclosures in city name, and you've compiled that list already, and that's what that Google pay-per-click ad links over to, well, then that's going to be a pretty high quality lead because they are actively searching that out and you've already compiled the list for them. So, this is, or certain communities, maybe you live in a large master plan and someone is searching out, homes for sale in whatever. For me, there's a big one across the street at Robertson's Ranch. So it's a cheap keyword because it's not highly searched out, but someone that is looking for homes for sale in Robertson's Ranch pretty much knows that they want to live there, or they're thinking about it. And if they click over to my site, they get on my IDX with that same search, they start saving properties in there. I know that that's a pretty high intent lead because they searched out information for that and they've probably made a decision that they want to make a purchase there. So, this is how you start drilling down into your local community by creating all these little saved searches. QR codes. I mean, if you want to get super creative, do a QR code on print advertisements, or maybe from videos you post that lead over to the IDX page, to the saved search that you made. So it's, hey, scan the QR code for a list of available homes in this community. Links from social media videos you post. So a lot of you are doing, TikToks or, any sort of informative video out there. If at the end you're directing them somewhere to view the homes that reflect what you're talking about in the video, that's a great way, instead of just relying on conversation, for them to get over to your information that you've compiled already and start looking around. So open house flyers, if you're doing an open house in a certain community, same thing, QR code, they can scan it to view other similar homes in the neighborhood, tell them, hey, I can show you these after this open house, or, lock it up for 30 minutes or whatever and go view the other homes. So instead of, providing them stuff, and that's bringing them into the digital world, that's getting them into your CRM system, into your database. Loan program flyers, if you are partnered with a lender or something like that, and you're showing a certain type of product out there, let's say, it's the DSCR loan, you can say, hey, these multiplexes in this area qualify for this DSCR loan. So you're giving them, the loan product, and then you're giving them the properties that, can match up with that loan product. And that's what they want. That's the complete information. Just like every other website out there, it's not going to generate business without traffic. So that's what you really need to do. You can use the free and paid methods of driving traffic to your saved searches to build your database of prospects looking to purchase in the areas you want to sell homes in. So this is bringing it all in, being that area expert. Create trending or specific searches for best results and post consistently. Just putting one out here and there isn't going to do much. You have to continue driving traffic to it. So incorporate this into your daily marketing, your daily prospecting. You could do lots of different lists, distressed property lists. Those are probably going to be really popular over the next 12 months. Even if it's not happening a lot, I think consumers are expecting it to happen a lot, and they're going to be looking for those properties. So even if that list is only a few deep, putting that information out there will probably generate a lot of conversation, because these people will be looking for that stuff, even though there may not be a lot available. Getting that conversation going, will lead to hopefully selling them at least another property. Homes that qualify for the down payment assistance. Maybe you want to specialize in 55 and older communities, beachfront homes. I mean, the list really goes on. You can really get creative with these and get very, very specific and reach a really targeted audience, depending on what you're trying to sell or what area you're trying to sell. Areas with low tax rates, some cities have high tax rate areas like Temecula, but there are some communities that have lower tax rates than others, and people want to know that information. Nurturing, basically this is where the CRM doesn't work for you on the mass scale. You can't physically follow up with all the leads that are going to come in, at least not well. And this is volume based, so you want to have as many coming in as possible. We know these could be, 3 to 6 month buyers. So you want to have a good CRM that has a lot of follow up in there. And this is where you're going to get the return on your money. So creating the autoresponder campaigns for immediate and long-term follow-ups, create email drips to keep your database engaged with content relevant to the IDX search that came through. Email drips should have your social media handles, invites to follow you for market updates, and more. This can build your social media following and YouTube channel if you have one, which is recommended. So, and you can kind of overlay it too with holiday emails. Text blasts can be incorporated into your nurturing, as well as invites to online and offline events that you host or raise awareness for. Client appreciation events, first-time buyer seminars. You're using this IDX to create this huge database. If you want people to attend your stuff, now you have this database that you can send these notifications out to. So maybe it's volunteer work. So really, that's what I have for the IDX portion of the geo farming. If you're using our Sierra Interactive product, you already have this. This function is in there. You just go into the saved searches and start creating. Otherwise, maybe look at what your board offers. Some of them offer a free version. It may not be that great. I recommend usually going with a third-party provider because they've enhanced it, You can do a lot more with it. You can draw maps around communities, things like that. That's what I really like, is when you can draw maps around communities, incorporate that into community pages and things like that. So that's when it really starts generating the type of business that you want. You know, it's some upfront work, but then it's kind of like in there forever at that point. So you will start to see the return on investment, and you'll start seeing your business centralize into the type of clients you want to work with, or the types of areas you want to sell in, you know, when you start incorporating this into your marketing plan. So Steve says his BombBomb video emails from his website have a 70% open rate. People love videos. I totally agree with that. So look into some of the alternatives. There's so much information online that can be incorporated into what we're going to be talking about over the next, you know, couple weeks with the geo farming. So, and that goes into the follow-up. So Steve's doing the BombBomb videos as a follow-up method instead of just an email or instead of just a text. He does the BombBomb video as part of his follow-up, and he's getting a very good return on that. So that's all I have for today. Sorry, it was kind of a long webinar today, but if you have questions about this, let me know. I've been doing this for many, many, many years. I started doing this probably around 04, 05, when it came to IDX searches and things like that. So I've been doing this for a very long time. So I'm happy to answer questions you have with this. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.